Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out the English version of Ys VIII Lacrimosa of Dana. That title still sounds as silly as it does in the Japanese version, despite the fact that it hasn't changed at all. So, this is an interesting situation. It's not Xseed handling this one this time, it's actually NIS America, and I find it odd that Xseed, not Ys. Xseed weren't jumping the gun to get to this game first, but I'm guessing they were just too busy with all the other stuff they were localizing, which is a... Well, I'm not exactly going to call it a shame, but you'll understand once we get in. So, I've got a bunch of save games here. My most recent one down the bottom there is currently 5.5 hours in, which is about double the amount of time, realistically, that I put into the Japanese version, but it isn't actually that much different from the Japanese version. So if you want to see a little bit earlier gameplay, you can go back and watch my An Idiot Imports video on Ys VIII. However, we're going to load into a different save game first. This save game has a cutscene that we can watch with some of the English voice acting. The cutscenes in this game are really spread out, and it's very rare for them to have voice acting longer than a couple of lines, which is kind of odd. And you do want to hear this voice acting because there's a lot to say about the English voice acting in this game. Not so much to say about the actual quality of the text. The quality of the text is absolutely fine as far as I can tell. We'll get into that after I let you listen to a bit of the voice acting first, because I saved just as a cutscene was about to happen, which was actually a really good thing for me to do. I'm amazing on the timing on that part. But anyway, I'm just going to turn on the automatic whatever you call it mode, and I'm just gonna let you listen to this.
Huh? Could that be?
Looks like it's a Castaway. Let's go. Excuse me! Hello? I was talking to that person, but he just ignored me.
Well, there are all different types of people in this world.
Hold on a second. Were you a passenger on the Lombardia too? We were also on that ship, and we washed up on this island.
Leave me alone.
What? Hey!
Hold on. A place where I need to go.
Listen, at least tell us your name.
Hummel. I'm a transporter.
What is wrong with him?
At least he was straightforward.
I don't think so. From the looks of it, I doubt he'll listen to us.
Well, he's heading the same direction we are, so we should see him again. But he's a transporter. What a unique man.
Alright, I'm going to start talking over this cutscene now because there is a lot I want to talk about and I can't exactly remember how long this cutscene goes for, and you have heard all the voices, including a doll, who speaks a lot in this game and has absolutely no subtitles whatsoever, which is a little odd. But anyway, the actual quality of the text... Oh. Well, that's the end of the cutscene, alright. I'm just going to load into my other game while I talk. So, The actual quality of the text and the localization, just in general, that's not the voices, is actually alright. Like, it's serious and it's silly when it wants to be serious and silly, and it does kind of, it feels a lot like, well, not a lot like Memories of Celceta, but it does feel a little bit more drab than those games. But I mean, I'm not that far in the story yet, and this game is like the longest East game there's ever been. So, to be fair to this game in general, the actual quality of the localization in the 5 hours that I've been playing so far is absolutely fine. I don't know how bad it gets later on, and I couldn't tell you how it compares to the Japanese version, because I don't speak Japanese, remember. But
Now, let's continue.
the whole thing itself so far seems to be on the level. The English voices, however, are a little bit more questionable. If I just get into my journal, if I remember what bloody button it is to get into the journal, I do not want to throw a fishing line. Don't want to throw a fishing line when there's no bloody water. There is actually something here. Yeah, here it is, voice log. So yeah, you can... Whoop.
This bat is annoying. I'm going to take it down.
Yep, you can actually listen to
There's a big
voice
mountain
lines
to the
here
east.
too, which is kind of nice.
Is there a weak spot somewhere? Ah, it's even angrier than it was.
But yeah, the English voice acting is... Well, how do I explain this? When I was playing the game early on, like the first few lines of voice acting I heard, I thought it was a bit weird. It doesn't seem to be very well done at first, but then I came to a realization, and the longer I played on, the more I realized that this was probably the case. The actual voice actors that they've got actually fit the characters fine, right? They sound like you would expect them to sound, more or less, you know? It's still that same sort of range that you get with English dubs of Japanese games. But at the same time, they all seem to fit. However, there are these weird lines that come out of nowhere that just seem absolutely terrible on the surface, terribly acted. And I realized that, or at least I think this is the case, but I believe that the voice actors weren't given any direction for the majority of these lines, to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if they were all sitting down in the recording booths with just a list of lines and no context for said lines. So a lot of the lines sound like they're being read out of context, and that makes the entire game feel that little bit weird when it comes to the voice acting, just because it seems like they don't know what the lines they're supposed to be reading are in the context of. And I know this is a weird thing to say, and I can't exactly demonstrate it, but there was a line or two in that previous cutscene there that did kind of feel that way, like the "listen" line that was said by Laxative over there, and yes, that's my nickname for her. That whole "listen" line sounded like it was read just off a page with a bunch of lines on it that weren't connected to one another. At least that's what it seems like to me. I don't know if this is actually the case or not. I just figured I'd bring it up because it makes the English dub a little bit cringeworthy at the most random and annoying of times. I know that sounds a bit odd, but that is pretty much it. If it wasn't for these individual lines in general, I'd be fine with it. This is, however, built upon by another problem, and we're going to go through the options menu while we're here. As far as I can tell, there's no Japanese dub. I thought they said they were going to do dual voices, but apparently they're not. Maybe it's DLC, because this game's already 3.35 gig without any sort of Japanese voices, so maybe it's going to be a DLC post-launch, but right now in any of the menus and when you're starting the game and whatever, it doesn't have an option for it. So I'm guessing either it's going to be in post-launch or it's not coming to the Vita version, because the Vita version isn't like the PS4 and the PC versions, which have a bunch of enhancements and stuff, because they're not on the Vita, and not limited to the Vita stuff. But it's just worth noting that, yeah, there's no Japanese dub for some reason. Also, there's a bunch of things that the PS4 version has, like a bunch of items, the domination battles, a little bit of expanded Dana segments, but I haven't actually gone to any of the Dana segments yet, so I wouldn't be able to tell you about them. But anyway, let's go through the options menu just while we're here. You can change it so that you attack in the direction of a target when you're locked onto it. You can change the speed of messages and how auto works. Notably, you can set it so that it'll only go into automatic when it's in an event scene and not a scene where the game, brain movement here, where you're just talking to characters in speech bubbles. Those come up a lot. But if you try to turn auto off, you'll have to come back and turn it onto this setting again in the options menu, which makes it kind of annoying, honestly. You can change your difficulty from here, which is nice, but you can't actually obtain trophies if you do, but, you know, that's fine by me. Camera settings here, pretty basic stuff. Some pretty obvious stuff here. I'll just let you read through all of them. Nothing too out of the ordinary. And your sound volumes. I'd recommend turning down the background music as soon as you get into the game, because it's quite a bit louder than it needs to be. But other than that, it's not that big of a deal. You've also got your active voice down here, which is just voices you hear while you're out in the field doing stuff. And there's really no reason to turn them off, so unless you don't want to listen to that. You've also got the ability to change your buttons, and I have taken advantage of that quite heavily, because this is definitely not the default control scheme. But you can put pretty much every action onto every button, which is really nice, because it means that you can customize the controls to something that's a little bit less cramped, because the game does have this annoying tendency to put a couple of buttons on the same button, and so it just gets a little bit hard to handle everything. But seriously, once you come in here and customize it all for yourself, you won't have a problem. So I've got my own customized set there already. We won't do the rest of the menu diving. We'll go hop straight into the game because it's been 10 minutes and I haven't even done any gameplay yet. So let's go do that. I guess I'll swap to Adol first. And away we go. Now, I haven't actively played through here just yet. I know that this is a dungeon up ahead, so there might be cutscenes and stuff we need to go through. But this is a dungeon, so hopefully this will be a decent example of gameplay. And if we don't come across a boss, I do have a save that has a boss in it that wasn't in my Japanese video. So we'll have a fair amount to look at one way or another. So don't worry your pretty little heads too much. The game is extremely pretty. Like, seriously, this is one of the prettiest games that there is on the Vita. It looks absolutely wonderful. The monster designs are fantastic. The environment designs and all that, just everything about this game is gorgeous. Absolutely fucking gorgeous. It is definitely one of the best presented games on the Vita. This, however, does come with a couple of problems. The game's frame rate isn't particularly great, for example. You may have noticed that it's started to drop a bit. However, it does also have the upswing that the game does remain perfectly responsive. So, you know, actually, like, controlling the game, even when the frame rate's taking a dump, it works perfectly fine. Like, seriously. I've actually managed to hit flash moves when the frame rate's been cut in half, and I'll explain what those are, well, shortly, actually, because we really do need to start explaining the gameplay before we get thrown into a cutscene. But anyway, this is Ys VIII. It is a, well, it's not so much a remake of the general Ys formula, but it is a really big step up. The entire game's 3D now, and you do have the ability to scale vertically, and being in the air does change what your attacks do, which is fantastic. And you've also got a fair bit of, like, 3D platforming, and you can do lots of running around, and you still got your dodges and stuff like that, which is great. But anyway, time to explain the basic mechanics. You have the ability to move around. Duh. You have the ability to jump. You have the ability to do a basic attack with your... Whoops. You have the ability to do a basic attack by pressing the square button. Now, note that I'm going to be talking about my own setup scheme here, so the controls are definitely going to change from what the game sets by default. So I'm just remember I'm talking about my controls here. Triangle will swap your characters, and every character has a unique... Well, it's like an elemental alignment. You have the ability to slash, pierce, or... I don't remember what the other one is, but some enemies are only weak to some kinds of attacks, so you need to use the switch button, which is on triangle, to swap out to that particular character in order to be the one attacking to do the damage. Your AI companions will also come along and attack for you, which is fantastic, because they are actually really good AI, and they're kind of boosted by the fact that they don't take much damage by themselves. They're kind of boosted by the fact that they don't take that much damage by themselves. I mean, if you're fighting a really, really strong enemy that you can't beat at that point, you will basically take a ton of damage no matter what, right? But they are more than capable of taking care of themselves, which is nice. You do also have the ability to use items in the middle of the game. Oh, there's a chest down there. How do I get down there? Oh, you're right. I'm going to have to go back down into that water, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to move along. So yeah, your AI can totally take care of themselves. They are absolutely fine. You also have the ability to dodge on the circle button. If I time this right, I can demonstrate, but I've never been very good at the timing in these games. I'm perfectly fine with just dodging out of the way ahead of time because I'm a Dark Souls player. Generally, you learn to dodge the fuck out of the way ASAP, so I'm fine with that. Ow. You do also get these nice little warnings. Like, see how on screen you get the warning that... Fuck it. Let's just kill him. See how on screen you get that warning? Oh dear, I've been blinded. You get the warning that they're attacking? It's actually pretty nice. But anyway, as I was saying, you have the ability to dodge, and you do get iframes, which is good because you can just like dodge out of the way of shit. And if you dodge at exactly the right moment and not a second before or a second after, you will get a flash move, and a flash move gives you your enemies will slow down. So basically it's like accelerating time for you. So all your enemies will slow down, you'll get a few free hits. Very good reason to go around and... Oh, those are actually stun grenades. I was expecting them to be resources, but no, they are actually stun grenades. Fair enough. And that was a treasure chest I just opened. So yeah, dodging at the right time will give you a bonus. Very good. You do also have the ability to flash block by tapping the R button, and if you do that exactly the right time, you'll also get a massive counter. However, I have not successfully hit a single flash guard in this entire game. I play this game like I play Bloodborne. I dodge everything. Do not guard, dodge.
We're finally outside.
Which is nice.
Wow.
And
Sunlight really
the
helps
way
a lot.
that this game's also works is that every time you land an attack on somebody, you will also get special meter. And you can see my special meter down in the bottom left there. It is the blue meter around the outside of that yellow circle. This is how you power your special attacks, by holding the R button and pressing any of the 4 face buttons. You will activate a special attack, and the special attacks are ridiculously powerful. So there's one, it is a tornado attack. It will just stay on the field and distract everybody. And everybody has their own unique special attacks. So not only do you only have your unique special attacks, but you also have more than 4. So you have to actually go in and choose which ones you want. And as you can see, I used a couple of special attacks during that fight, and I've already got all my special meter back. So, excuse me. So using your special attacks all the flippin' time is recommended, because seriously, the amount of damage you can do to some fucking enemies is ridiculous. Also, it's recommended that you do break monsters whenever you have the ability, which means basically just hitting them with the element that they're weak against, because they'll drop more resources. Enemies drop resources you can use in different parts of the game, which I will get to not very shortly, but shortly. You can see that I'm also attacking environmental objects, and they're giving me resources. That is also a thing in this game. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That is also a thing in this game. You can go underwater and... Oh, is that a fish? That might actually be a fish. Oh, dear. I'm being blinded. Go away. Thank you. Actually, I'll try fishing there. Might as well display what fishing is like. Fishing is like just... You're basically just going for resources and stuff like that, right? You'll catch fish, gets turned into meat, gets turned into items that you can bring back. Pretty basic fishing minigame. Just push the analog stick in the direction it tells you to and mash the X button and you'll eventually get the fish.
The outcome was obvious.
I caught a mirage, and it's a bunch of useful items, which is actually pretty nice. There are different fish all over the place. Very useful to just, you know, go around and check what fish do what. Yeah, this is a bit of a dick of an area, I've got to say. You can barely see, and there's just tons of dudes all over the place. You do also have a second special attack, which is done by pressing the R and L buttons at the same time, but I'm going to save that for one of the bigger monsters that show up. There are smaller monsters and there are bigger monsters. There is an absolute ton of monsters in this game. Massive, massive variety massive attacks. Oh dear.
Enemies! Castaway Village!
That's exactly what I wanted to happen, actually. Also, hello, parrot. That sounds a lot like,
Do your best to support.
Parrot that sounds a lot like Brain Help. Monokuma from Danganronpa. But anyway, that is a warning for an interception, which we are actually going to go and do immediately via the fast travel menu. Because this also gives me an opportunity to explain all the other game systems, including the interception battles and what have you. So, I'm not going to bother going through this world map stuff here just yet. We're just going to go straight back to Castaway Village. Loading times aren't bad. Seriously, that was like 6 seconds. Most of the load times in this game are about that, and it's reasonable. I do envy the PC and PS4 players who are going to get like 1 second load times, but... Ooh. Alright, yeah, I accidentally hit climb on that, whatever. I do envy those guys who are going to get 1 second load times, but yeah, this is good. So this is Castaway Village. Castaway Village contains all your side quests and all your equipment and leveling up and stuff like that for the most part. We do also have a bulletin board that has side quests. Unfortunately, I have no quests, but I can show you the ones I've completed, which is not much. But anyway, you can come here and talk to people and they'll give you side quests, and you can also show this guy the map, but he won't give you anything unless you've seen 20% of the map, or 30%, or 40%. You get the idea. There are also things you can do around here, like, for example, talk to people. And you've got lots of characterization. You also have things like, for example, here. This is the trading spot where you can come and trade in lower quality materials for higher quality materials, and of course some rare items as well if you feel like it. I can get a ton of soft fiber, which means I can make a ton of armor. If we come in here to the cave, we can go to the tailor, and the tailor is one who can produce accessories and armor. Thank you, Brain.
Please take a look.
So yeah, we've got accessories, armor, we've even got different costumes. I don't have the stuff for the different costumes yet. But as you can see, it's all pretty basic stuff. Nothing too out of the ordinary.
Please come again.
Plenty of options here for how you want to play the game. There's a bunch of other stuff through here as well, but yeah, basically, this is a village, and your side quests actually slowly upgrade this. So originally you only had this, but over the course of the game, I have unlocked all of this stuff here, and this big tower that's basically just an observation post out here. I found that, well, I built this. This wasn't around in my video for the Japanese version, so if you go back to my video of the Japanese version, this thing definitely wasn't there before. A couple other things we can do. If we come up here to the blacksmith, we can forge some brand new equipment, which includes different kinds of armor and stuff like that. And we can also enhance and synthesize new weapons. If we get forged stones, I believe they're called, you can upgrade the weapons to newer versions of weapons which are stronger, and you can also enhance weapons using different resources that you can find. Like, for example, I can enhance the iron knocker here, I should say, which I definitely will do, and it is now a fair bit stronger, which is nice. It's also a max level, so I can't do it more than once. There are a couple of other things floating around here as well, but it's basically just your typical RPG hub, which is perfectly fine by me, you know? We've got a couple other things we can do around here as well. You got defense gates. You have a big bird here that you can feed fish, and it'll give you food and stuff like that. So here you can have a fish. That is an adorable bird. It's a shoe bill, apparently. Its bill looks nothing like a shoe. I know this isn't nitpicking, but that's certainly something. Alright, if I give it this one last thing, it'll give me a reward, I think. Aw. It wants a different fish, and I don't have another fish to give it. That's unfortunate. But anyway. That is a nice skybox going on right there. Look at that. That's fucking gorgeous. I am a sucker for really good skyboxes. And for the Vita, this is amazing. But anyway. Time to do all your menu diving, ladies and gentlemen. I know some people love it and some people hate it, but we have to do it at some point. So if I hit the start button, items, plenty of the usual things. I have a ton of revival items. This game is actually well, I'm not going to say it's really easy, because I've been playing on fucking normal difficulty, so of course it is, right? But it is pretty easy on the normal difficulty. So if you want a challenge, go straight for hard or nightmare. You do have bottles here, liquid medicines, right? So what these do is, if you actually use one of these, it will actually give you the bottle back, and then you can come back and cook it, or use it again. Adventurer gear, which will get you through specific things, like for example, the grip gloves will help you climb Ivy. You can see a list of all your stuff here, nice and easy. And DLC items, I don't know what's going there, but stuff is going there. This is where you come to equip your skills. You can see all their abilities. And you can see that there is 4 here. I believe Adol has 5 right now. Yep, he does. And you can upgrade your abilities here as well. Here's laxatives skills. You can even see the little area of effect, which is nice. You can change your party. Obviously, you want to be keeping one of each type in the main party, and I was just happy to get rid of laxative. So, yeah, that's pretty basic stuff. You can come here to equip some stuff. We actually have some stuff I can equip to Mr. He's not really emo, is he? He's more like, he's more just, gothy-ish, maybe. But yeah, you can give him 2 accessories and an arm and a body accessory, and you can also come down here to give attachments and costumes, which are just visual flair. I don't have any of those, unfortunately, because I don't have any of the DLC, and I haven't really... Oh, sailor uniform. Oh. Yeah. Well, yeah, there you go. Just makes him look different. You can come into the journal to see a bunch of things. You can see how the story's been going so far. Here's your side quests. A lot of them are fetch quests. Some of them are more important, like, for example, the build watchtower is actually required to continue the story. You can come here to see information on these guys, and you also have individual approval ratings, which is what you get when you beat their side quests. And approval ratings actually help you out in the tower defense battles. Active voice. You can cook at the fire, and there's a ton of recipes that you can get. And by a ton, I mean like 12. But I actually only gotten the 2. You can see that it's pretty basic stuff. You can't fail it like you can in Trails of Cold Steel. Here's your fishing log. Here's your monster log. There's a few of the bosses for you. They're all pretty big and just very scary. You've got all your different kinds of materials here, and of course you've got your help with your tutorials and your total stats. It's all basic stuff. There is some more stuff that you can do, like if you press right here, you can use items right away. And if you press left, you can look on the world map. You've got all your fast travel points, which are these crystals here. You do also have special areas, like the Rainbow Falls, which will have like really high quality materials and stuff that you can go and get from time to time. You have these green points here, which are event points, which will unlock things like said special points, and also, what are these? Obstacles, more or less. So you see how I've rescued 10 people and require 14. You rescue people over the course of the story, and once you've done that, you can use them to unblock these. You can use them to unblock these, more or less. And I've got a ton of these right now, and I can actually go through this Great Canyon one, which is kind of nice, but we don't need to do that. You've seen about 10 minutes of dungeon diving, so we can go and do a thingo. We can go do the Interception battle, and then we can do a boss fight, which is good. Very good. I've been spreading this out somewhat. 10 minutes of menus, 10 minutes of gameplay, and now 10 minutes of menus have just gone by, now 10 more minutes of gameplay. Oh man, I bet you guys are going to be fucking sick of this, aren't you? But anyway, if I talk to Dogi, we can begin an Interception. And we can also enhance Castaway Village, which I'll probably do once we get back, because I've got a fair amount of resources I can use. But anyway, Interception battles are score, attack, wave-based defense battles. You've got all these things here to defend you and help you out during the fight. And here come all the enemies. Let's see, can I actually hurt these, or I need to swap to a doll, don't I? Nope, I need to be, I need to be him. There we go. Might as well talk about, like, the actual combat. Like, I know I've just described the combat, more or less, but I think it's time to actually talk about the combat. And the combat is fantastic. It is quite simple, yes, but I find myself enjoying it a lot. It is fast, it is furious, it looks absolutely fantastic, there's a ton of effects, it looks wonderful, and it plays really well too. Like, even the, alright, you know what, fuck you guys. Even with the... Brain. Sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought there. Even with the frame rate drops and all of that, the game is fantastic to play. It's lightweight, it's fast-paced, and it's just an absolute ton of fun no matter what way you look at it. It is just really enjoyable. The hits are satisfying, dodging is satisfying, everything is satisfying. Actually, let me see if I can actually... No, he's not interested. Alright. Oh, no, now he is interested. Great, thanks, game. The actual combat is just really, really good. Seriously, it is a fantastic game just to play. It feels really nice in the hands. It controls really well. It's got all of the things that an action RPG needs. Simple but satisfying combat, lots of looting to do, lots of upgrading to do, and tons of different kinds of enemies to fight. It's got everything it needs. Now, this mode obviously has a couple of different things. You've got bait spread around the area to distract them from the main gate. You also have the assists going on in the top left there, and the better you do, the more of these assists you'll get, which means even more money! Or points, I should say. You don't actually have any kind of money in this game, it's all barter, which is interesting. Because, you know, it's a deserted island. The whole story is everybody's trapped on a deserted island, adults having weird dreams, and that's basically it so far. There's seriously, like, nothing else to this game at the moment. Which isn't the worst thing in the world. I know this is, like, one of the longer games in the East series, if not the longest. But, yeah, nothing's happened so far. It is quite slow. But thankfully, the gameplay is more than good enough to make up for it. Oh, look, boss monster. Let me show you one of the extra skills. Really well animated, tons of fucking effects. Looks absolutely fantastic. And unfortunately, it didn't do much damage because that's not the guy I needed. But yes, this is the guy I need. There's the flash move. Beat the crap out of it, son. And we broke it, and we just wiped the floor with it. Not doing so well because I haven't upgraded my stuff yet, but I should be okay, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah. Looks like I came in handy.
So yeah, there's an absolute ton of stuff to do. The combat is really satisfying. I really can't find, other than the English dub, I can't find much to actually complain about with this game, right? The only reason I can find to not recommend this version is if you have a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. Because the PlayStation... Xbox One, what the fuck am I talking about? Or a PC. So, this version of the game is definitely going to be the worst. Because NIS America are releasing the version... NIS America are releasing the enhanced PS4 and PC versions at different time, at the same time for this game. It's not like Tokyo Xanadu, also from, Falcom, and localized by Axis of all people, where they're releasing the better version later. They're releasing the better version at the same time. And the PC and PS4 versions of Ys 8 will have more stuff. They'll have more kinds of battles. They'll run better. They'll load faster.
Now, let's finish up.
And they'll just go for longer. They'll just have more content in them, which is absolutely fine. I mean, this game was designed with the Vita's limitations in mind at first, and then they added the extra stuff later, and I am perfectly fine with that being a thing. I am absolutely fine with that as a thing. However, it does bring about the idea that this version will be the worst one. And while I mean, you could play the PS4 version over remote play and it would probably work just as well, but it's just a little bit... It's just a little bit annoying because that would mean you'd have to probably pick between the two versions. I'm not going to assume that everyone is fucking rich and can afford to buy both versions. And if I remember correctly, the game does not support cross-save because obviously the two games are completely different. So you won't be getting anything... You won't be getting anything out of that sort of situation. But if Vita is your only option, or you find yourself like me, and only being able to play these sorts of games on the Vita, because just RPGs are just more convenient to have in a portable format, then I would fully recommend VIII to you. Absolutely. Like, it should absolutely be a pickup for your Vita. This is definitely one of the best games the Vita has, just in general. Let alone in, like, the action RPG genre, like it is. Absolutely one of the best games on the system. I wish there was a more capable list of, what's the word? I wish there was a better list of stuff that was different between the PS4 and Vita versions. So that you could just, like, compare the two and decide whether or not it would be more worth your effort. Hell, I tried looking it up and even I couldn't find one. I know there's more post-game content, there's more post-game dungeons. There's more, stuff. There's more stuff with the Dana side of things. Again, it runs better and it probably loads better and plays better overall as a result. It's just... yeah. I still think this version is worth your time if you're not going to be playing any of the other versions. That is absolutely certain. Anyway, I'm just going to talk to Dogi before we get into... oh yeah. Yay, we got free food. Anyway, enhance Castaway Village. What can I do with this?
What do you want to enhance?
Right. It just... yeah, yeah, okay. Makes sense to me. Just helps with the interception battles. Alright, fair enough. I do think this game is absolutely fantastic, though, English dub aside. And oh yeah, mix. So yeah, this is where you come to mix medicines and stuff like that. But yeah, I still think this game is absolutely fantastic, and I would 100% recommend it. Absolutely. Like, if you can't get it on PC or PS4, this version is still absolutely great, and you really won't have that big of a problem with it. I'm actually going to save my game, just so I can come back to the save game later. Yep. Save there, please. And now I just need to remember which one of those 5 save games has the boss I'm talking about. So let's go and actually load into the boss. I believe it was... yeah, it's got to be this one. Or was it the one up there? No, I think it was the one up there, actually. Let's load this game up and see if I was right. We're going to go fight a big boss now. And you'll get to see how Laxia works. Yep, this is it. We even get another cutscene. Go me actually looking at the pictures I made on my save game, but yeah. Also, if you hold circle, you can fast forward cutscenes by 8 times, which is actually pretty neat. I'm just gonna fast forward through this until about here.
There's something back there, adult Kristen.
Wouldn't be an East game if you didn't fight giant fucking monsters. This boss right here is definitely my favorite boss of the game so far. Just because of how interesting the fight is. We're going to be playing the entire fight. So, you'll get to see what it looks like. That's for sure.
What was that?
Looks like it's changing its body color to blend in with its surroundings. I thought I sensed a weird presence, but...
Here it comes.
Alright, let's do this. This is definitely one of my favorite bosses in the game so far, just because of how interesting its fight is. You might have noticed that I did a boss fight on a turtle in my Japanese video of the game. Ow. But this fight is way more interesting than that turtle fight because of, well, the fact that you have to fight it on this really thin log and you have to be, like, constantly shoveling in things like antidotes. Damn it. Let me up, bitch. Oh, that's not what I meant. Tried to dodge through it, tried to dodge through it again, failed both times. And I completely fucked up that dodge. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, most of the bosses in this game are these fucking huge monstrosities with cool attack patterns and interesting fights. Hang on, I need to heal up.
All right, let's push
There we go. Ow. Just poison tongued me. But yeah. A lot of the bosses in this game are great. It reminds me of... Well, I hate saying it reminds me of Dark Souls, because I know people are going to say that I'm overusing it's like Dark Souls, because, you know, I've already done it at the beginning of this video. But it really is. The monsters are all big and unique, they've all got their own attack patterns, and they could all be an absolute fucking bitch to take out if you're not careful. So, yeah. Anyway, we've all fallen down to the bottom now, and he's getting mad, and he comes down with us. Or does he? Yep, he sticks up there and we have to jump up to hit him, which is actually a really neat idea. I like it a lot, but I'm gonna have to heal up again. This is pretty much how fights in this game go for me, you know? Actually, I'm gonna swap to a doll just so when my extra meter is ready, I'll be able to use it and show you what his attack looks like. But yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Ys 8 is fantastic. It's a great update to the formula. It is absolutely lovely looking. The combat runs really well. Even with a few performance problems, it still manages to be really, really good. Just because of how it's been programmed and made. Down you come. And I really like it. It's definitely, like, if I had half the mind, I would have put... Did I put Ys 8 in my top 100 games video? Because if I didn't, I sure fucking need to now. Because seriously, this is one of the best games you can get on Vita. Absolute ton of fun. Come on, adult. Get that last bit of charge in. Damn it. Where is he now? There he is. Last bit of charge, and now we do his special attack. Just to end off the boss fight with. Yay! He's dead. R.I.P. in peace. Also, don't explode in nuclear fire and kill us all. Also, yes, we just end up here for some reason. But yeah, absolutely fantastic game. Would highly recommend. Ton of fun. Doesn't matter what platform you get it on. Vita version is still absolutely fine. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.